Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. What you see in the vise is an adaptation of the cruncher, or a fly sometimes referred to as the magnet. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise then is a Hanak H230 barbless hook. This one's at size 10, it's on a medium wire and it's finished in black nickel. The thread I'm going to be using for this fly is from Simplify. It's the Nano Silk at 6/0 or 1000D. And as you can see, it's a brown thread. Now first, as always with the Nano Silks and these hooks that are finished in black nickel, you're always better using a little bit of super glue before you cast your thread on. Just a spot, and then that can go to the side. Use your thread to spread the glue up and down the shank. Then just in behind the eye, we're going to lay a bed of silk along the length of the shank. Now as I get to approximately where a barb would be on a barbed hook, I'm going to come in with my snips and just remove that. Now the cruncher, or the magnet, whatever you'd like to call it, is a really effective fly, and usually it just has either fibres from a cockhackle cape, or it may have pheasant tail as the tailing. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to add some trout lines, Pheasant Marabou. Now what's the difference, you might ask, between Pheasant Marabou and ordinary Marabou? And what it is it's a lot lighter, so what you get is a lot more movement, and that's why I've dubbed this the swimming cruncher. So I've taken a feather out the packet, and what I want to do is I'm going to take all the feather and I'm just sweeping it back with my fingers, because what I want is these tip sections here to form my tail. Now as I've swept it all up, I want to have about the length of the shank of the hook, and I'm going to dress that up like so. Now I've not separated this feather yet from the mainstay of it, because what I want to do is use the feather to maintain the width of my body. Oh, sorry, a bit cack-handed there. But I'm going to bring that, and it is a little bit awkward, but it's worth it because you get a nice even finish on the body when you come to bring your pheasant tail over the top. So I'm just going to get that up to the thorax area, and once you're at the thorax area, it all becomes a lot easier. So you can remove that, and as I'm going back down, I'm going to catch in my wire ribbon. What I'm using is Simplify's 0.3mm copper wire. I've already got a little bit broken off here and ready to use. And I want to catch this along the entire length of the body, and the reason for that is to do with keeping your body the same width. So I'll catch that in there, and I'm going to come all the way up, tidying up as I go, after making that little bit of a mess, coming down the marabou, and then at the butt of the fly I'm going to part my thread there. All looking good so far. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some pheasant tail for my body. Now this is one that's been dyed. It's a slight ginger colour, but you can use natural peacock as well, just whatever you fancy really. But I'm going to use the dyed one for today's fly. Got lovely long fibres on it, and just makes it a little easier to tie in. So I've taken approximately 4 or 5 fibres of the pheasant tail, and what I want to do is catch that in at the tip section of the feather. I'm just going to trim the little pointy bits because they're liable to snap off, and then I can catch that in at the side. I'm going to come up the body. I can stop around the thorax area, just catch that last little bit in, and then I'm going to put several extra turns in. And the reason for that is I'm going to use the rotary function on my vise to bring my body material up. Now pheasant tail has been used for an eternity in fly tying. It's a versatile feather that can be used for all manner of different flies, from river to still water to loch style fishing. It's just a great material, and you can actually pick this up relatively cheaply, or if you've got friends in the shooting fraternity, you can always scrounge a few feathers off them come the 4th of August or the 12th, whatever date it is, people start shooting these things out the sky. I'm not a shooter myself, so I'm not quite sure. So I'll bring that all the way up. And the beauty of using the rotary function on your vise is that what you get is a chance to avoid the hook point. And if you're just using your hackle pliers to bring it up and not relying on the rotary function of the vise, sometimes you can catch this hook point. And with pheasant tail or any other delicate materials like peacock herring, if you catch the hook point, it's all over and you're back to starting again. So next I'm going to bring my rib up. I want to do it in nice even turns. Now the 0.3 might seem a little heavy, but I really want the rib to stand out on this fly. It's made for moving, hence the little tail we put in here. So I'll bring that up all the way to the thorax area, catch it in with a couple of turns, and then I'm simply going to get a few turns in front, keeping tension on my thread. I can come in and helicopter my wire away. 0.3 takes a little bit longer to pull away than my usual fare. So far so good. For the thorax then, I'm using some of Troutline's hand selected peacock herring. It's just a very bushy swords in the hand selected stuff. I really like using it, it's great. And what I'm going to do is tie it in at the thicker end here. So I'm just lining up my thicker end, and what I want to do is catch that in. Now sometimes when I'm feeling very brave, or I've been tying a lot of these flies, I'll just tie in one strip of herring, and the reason I've tied in two today, it's a little bit of an insurance policy. If you're using peacock herring, it can be a little bit brittle depending on where you've sourced it. This stuff's pretty good, to be fair, but if you've sourced it elsewhere, you could end up having one of them snap off, and if you've got one left, you're still able to save the fly. So belts and braces, I've tied in two. Now before I bring the peacock herring over the thorax, what I want to do is just add a little bit of super glue to the bulb of thread that I've just tidied up the fly with here. And what that does is, as always, and this is the beauty of tying your own flies, you get something that's going to last you more than a couple of fish. So I've added the spot of super glue. Next thing I want to do is bring my herring through the super glue and build up a small thorax here. Once I'm content I've got the shape I want, that's just slid over on my side. You might not be able to see that on camera, but it's slid, leaving a big gap rather than the nice neat thorax that I want. So I brought it back and I've got it where I want it now. So next thing, I'm going to lick my thumb and forefinger, bring everything back, and I'm going to bring my thread back from the eye, maybe a millimetre or so. And once I've caught that in, I can come in with my scissors and take away my excess. All that remains then is to hackle the front of the fly, and what I'm using is this furnace cape here. It's a hen cape, and I've already selected a feather from the cape itself. I'm going to get rid of this this junk at the bottom bit. I don't really need it and it just gets in my way, so let's just clear that up. Then the next thing I want to do is grab my hackle pliers. I'm going to pinch in at the tip there and I'm going to pull it all back. And what I'm looking to do is get that sort of Christmas tree effect here with the hackling feather. Then I can come in with my scissors, leave myself a tiny handle to catch in, and before I catch it in, oh sorry, my wax is covered in stuff I've been doing before. I'm going to just add a little bit of wax to help me adhere my tag. Just stops it from slipping out, usually, he says. So catch that in. Then again, you've made a little handle here, but I always like to use my hackle pliers. Gives me a little bit more control of the fly. Sweep your fibres back as you're turning, and I'm looking for 2 to 3 turns, so that's the second turn coming in now. Just dampen down your thumb and forefinger of your left hand often helps when you're hackling. And on the third turn here, I'm going to bring my thread over and catch that in like so. Now once I'm convinced I've got it in, I'll get a turn in front of that hackle. I can remove my hackle pliers at this point. Again, I'm licking my thumb and forefinger, and everything is coming back behind the eye. And I'm going to get a few wraps of thread in there to create my head. Now once I've done that, I'm pretty sure I can just pull away the hackling there. To finish off, I'm going to add a little bit of Solaris to my thread. You can use super glue or varnish, makes no difference. Then keeping your hackling out the way, just finish off your head. Then I can come in with the edge of my scissors, take that away, and all that remains is to cure the head. Now how would I fish this? I would, if I was fishing a team of nymphs, this is the one that would go on the point. Hence the larger size, the size 10. It does work in size 12, but what you're going to get on the point fishing this fly is lots of movement, which can be really enticing, especially when fish are on the fin feeding on nymphs. So there we go, the swimming cruncher. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. If you did, please don't forget to leave the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.